Okay. Um, I'm going to go away from the chick spouting frickin' German obscenities for a second. And, yeah, that was interesting. Um, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I thought it was going to be something else. I thought it was going to be a different movie. But no, I mean, yeah, it follows in the same tradition of the paranormal entity, Gacy House, um, cinema verite, found footage movie, as it were. But it's a lot different, and I find that to be true of all of these movies so far. They're all a lot different from each other. They're very a lot different. They're very different from each other. Put it that way. Brilliant English major skills here. They're very different. The first one happens, paranormal entity happens to a family, and it just happens. It seems like it's some kind of a demon or a ghost or poltergeist of some type. The second one, 8213 Gacy House, happens at the supposed house that John Wayne Gacy used to live in before he died. Um, really, that one is kind of weird because it says it's the house that was built over the location where he used to live. So it's not even really the place he used to live. It's just the house that was built there. But then that house is very old, and it's just like I don't think that's the accurate truth there either. But I mean, that's the thing. That movie, there were like loopholes and stuff like that. There were plot holes that really didn't fit, that really weren't, in fitting with the movie. It was a little bothersome, but it was a pretty freaky movie nonetheless. And Annalise, the Exorcist tapes, is also kind of freaky, but again, kind of has a few. I don't know if there are any loopholes per se, but other than the fact, of course, that this is obviously being taped now. I mean, personally, my belief on cinema verite, I hate saying that word over and over again, that phrase over and over again, but it's going to become a big thing in film history and film studies in the future. I can promise you that. And they already are studying or doing courses on this particular kind of film, but this particular genre or movement, as it were. But you know, if it were up to me, if I were doing a movie like this, I would say, okay, so this is taking place in 1976. Therefore, I'm going to go get some cameras that were prevalent of use in 1976. I'm not going to use cameras that I just picked up off the street. But that's just another thing about this kind of movie is that it's typically it's being made on the cheap, so nobody wants to go out and do that. Paranormal Activity was made for what, like $15,000, and then I don't know how much the second and third were made for, but I don't think they were made for much more than like $5 and $10 million, which for a movie is really cheap. 15,000 is unheard of. That's Paranormal Activity takes cake for that one. But even 5 or 10 million nowadays is like that's pretty cheap for a movie. I don't know how much this one cost, but judging from the way that it was made, probably not that much. If it were me, though, if I were going to do something like this, I would try to make it as historically accurate as possible. If you're going to do something like, oh, this was from 1976, it should look like it's not from 1976, not like it's trying to look like it's from 1976 and failing miserably because there is no grain It's all on video. There's no grain anywhere. It's just, it displays none of the facets of film. There's no film. It displays none of what you might expect from film of that time. There's just nothing out there that looks like that. Um, and then also there are these odd little bits where they're obviously like trying to make it look worse through editing, like by adding little um, flourishes here and there, making it look like it's you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever edited, there are little tools that you can use to make it look like it's an old film or something like that. They do that in this movie a lot, but not only that, they actually have this little thing where they're for whatever reason they're filming a letter from one of the doctors in the film, and they're just like not even showing the whole letter. They're just kind of going down the letter, moving, zooming in randomly. Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to look like it's old. And then during these moments, they have this obviously fake, projector sound going in the background to make it sound like it's a projector that you're hearing as this is being. It's meant to look like it's old and creepy, when in reality it's just the most fake, old, and creepy thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That really bothered me, but aside from that, it was an alright movie, I guess. It wasn't overly scary, but it was kind of freaky at points, and there were just moments that was just like, eh. But, the to be honest, like the treatment of science in these movies, this one kind of puts it to the forefront and says, okay, this is what we're actually trying to say. We're trying to say science sucks and religion rules. And in this area, only people of belief have any power whatsoever. And it's just like, wow. I would like to see a movie like an exorcism movie that explores the possibility that not only that science and religion in this kind of an area could actually commingle, but that science might actually prevail. Is it just me? I don't know. Um, Either way, it was an alright movie, but it's purporting to be real footage from an exorcism that inspired the blockbuster 1970s horror film. See, if they're talking about The Exorcist, then they already failed, because I don't think that came out until, didn't that come out in 1972? It was either 72 or some, I don't know. This movie purports to have footage from 1976, and it looks nothing like 1976, and yeah. But anyway, I guess it was all right. It wasn't horrible. Um, I like the first two movies in the series better. I'll put it that way. Anyways, I'm gonna get some dinner, and I'm gonna start this up again. It is currently 10 o'clock. We're almost there. It feels weird saying that because I almost feel like it should be a 24-hour thing. But since it isn't, I guess we're almost done. 10 o'clock, that means I've got about 4.5 hours left of this. That probably means about two more movies, really. Maybe next up I will watch that one I was talking about earlier. But first, the very next thing I'm going to do is tell you my top 5 horror movies of all time. I know I've just been kind of like balled up here in the corner. Not really moving, not really going anywhere, but I kind of figure that's how a horror movie marathon should be done. Kind of like keep yourself up against the wall, nobody can get you, nothing can get at you that you can't see, But anyway. Hmm. 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 Top 5 horror movies. Now, when you start talking about horror movies, top 5, well, when you start talking top 5, anything when it comes to movies, it gets into a strange area where you're just like, okay, so are we talking about technically, or are we talking about our favorites, or are we talking about most memorable? I mean, the list goes on. You could base it off of anything. So I think for this one, just because it's no doubt going to be contentious, I'm just going to say my top 5 favorite horror films. Um, Honestly, you're not going to find any from pre 1970. No, pre 1960s. Yeah, there we go. But that's not to say I don't like those horror films. It's not to say I don't appreciate those horror films. They're just not favorites of mine. You know, I kind of like what has been done with horror by the later horror film creators. Um, so to start off, I think I'll choose. I think I'll go by decade, basically. That sounds good to me. Does that sound good to you? It sounds good to me. Okay. So, in the 60s, we got Alfred Hitchcock with Psycho. Now, Psycho is a messed up movie which is still referenced today and is still beloved today for a very good reason. It looks fantastic on Blu-ray, I might add. I mean, who doesn't love Psycho? It's a really good movie. Now, I've heard people saying, oh, but it's black and white. Oh, nobody wants to watch black and white anymore. If you're that kind of person, go away. Go away. We don't need you. Shoo! Shoo! You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what makes good movies. Fuck off. Seriously. It's like, if being black and white is one of the reasons that you don't like a movie or won't watch a movie, then you don't deserve to watch any movies. Period. Because you don't have any freaking understanding of where film comes from. It's kind of like saying, well, I don't. It's kind of like saying, well, I'll read something new, but I won't read something old. I won't read something classic because fuck that shit or something. I mean, there's no excuse. There is no excuse for not for refusing to learn more about where film came from, for refusing to check out what film has to offer you, for limiting yourself in those choices. There's just no excuse for it. I cannot abide by people like that. I simply can't. Just fuck off. But anyway, Psycho is just a fantastic movie. It's just great. I even like the remake, but, if it's me we're talking about, I say the original is obviously the best. And if you don't have it yet, get the Blu-ray. Wow. But anyway, next up we're going to go into the 70s. And I don't know which one of these came first. I think The Shining came first. I'm a big fan of The Shining, as some of you may know. I got the Kubrick version and the remake from the 90s, the made-for-TV movie remake, which I still have yet to watch, by the way. I was thinking about watching it for this, but I figured, it's not really a movie. It's like a made-for-TV miniseries, so it doesn't really count. So I was like, I'll just leave that for later this month. But, yeah, I mean, The Shining is just so creepy, and, well, with Kubrick's version, it's even creepier, but I mean, just everything about it. The old lady in the bathtub, the two little girls, the hallway of blood, Jack Nicholas's character, just all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your head in. Creepiest line in the movie. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Okay. Well, there's also Here's Johnny. But seriously. So there's that. Next up, so that's Psycho number 5. This is like not in any particular order, by the way. The Shining, number 4. Number 3, Alien, 1979. Alien. Uh, what more needs to be said about that amazing classic film, Ridley Scott? Um, they took sci-fi and horror, and he took sci-fi and horror and put it together in a way that, I mean, people have been trying to emulate ever since. Some successful, some unsuccessful, but I mean, wow. I mean, especially like the last 30 minutes or so. This what I love about Alien is that scene where Ripley's trying to get out, and she's trying to like blow up the place, and you notice like all music, all everything. By the way, get on a little second on the reason why I'm just stuck to one place. But all the music, all everything that is not diegetic sound ceases. All you're hearing is her and the sounds around her, and it's just creepy as hell because there's just a siren going and nothing. Dead silence but the siren, her walking around, steam everywhere. It's just the perfect freaking environment for just creepiness. I mean, that is what I think of when I think of sci-fi horror. That right there is just, that's it. That is the scene. That is the scenery. You don't need any music. All you need are the sounds of industry, of frickin', warning, of, silence. Other than that, dead silence. The silence of space and the blaring sounds of industry. Just, ugh. It's kind of creepy, isn't it? Anyway, number 2, and maybe this is cheating to some of you, but I don't care. Aliens. It cannot be said. You cannot put Alien on a list and then not put Aliens on the list, because Aliens is just as good for different reasons, albeit it's more of an action movie, but it's still a horror movie, and it's still one of those, it's one of the best movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says. Aliens, so many classic lines, so many classic scenes. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. But my number one horror movie of all time, it's gotta be Poltergeist. I mentioned it before, and I'm not ashamed to say it again. Poltergeist, one of the scariest movies of all time. And I've always been a really big fan of it. You look back in my videos, and you'll see me talking about it quite a bit. I got it on Blu-ray recently for the first time, Blu-ray Digibook, and wow, I mean, I love that movie so much. I watch it every Halloween. I watch it like 2 or 3 times a year, actually. It's just so freaking scary, so messed up. I'm not even going to say anything else. I don't even need to say anything else. You should know. You should know Poltergeist. I mean, if you don't know Poltergeist, go see Poltergeist. I've already said everything else in other videos and earlier in this video. I don't need to say anything else. Poltergeist, number 1. I mean, I'm not doing it in any particular order, but if I had to put one at like number 1, it would be Poltergeist. Just saying. Anyway, there's my top 5 horror movies. And the next horror movie that I will be seeing is currently 10:18. I apologize for taking so freaking long. The next that I will be seeing is Session 9. That's right. Session 9. That's the movie I'm going to be seeing next, because I've been told so many times by so many of my friends and fans that this is just a fantastic movie that I need to see. So, here it comes. For the first time ever, and we get my first thoughts on it ever, Session 9. Catch you then.